Welcome back to another video, and today we got our Week 3 College Basketball Power 40 rankings. We're doing these videos every single Monday night, so make sure you subscribe, turn on the notifications if you are new, to make sure you don't miss whenever we upload. We're also doing college football every Tuesday, NFL every Wednesday, and NBA every Thursday, so if any of that interests you, make sure you subscribe. But let's go ahead and jump right in, because there was a whole lot of games played, and we got a lot to talk about here. Starting off at the bottom, we're going to work our way from 40 to number 1. At 40 is going to be Utah State. We're going to keep them up, kind of set where they were at. Utah State looks like a tournament team to me. Like, they look like, probably besides San Diego State, the best team in the Mountain West. The Mountain West, not all that strong. Like, they've been losing a lot of games that, especially near the bottom of the conference. But, Colorado State's 4-0. Wyoming's 4-0. I know San Diego State's still undefeated. We'll get to them shortly. But Utah State's been handling business. They actually have a game against Tulane that could be interesting. It's an American team. Utah State, not the craziest non-conference schedule, though. They should be pretty fine here. I don't see them losing for quite a while. They're ranked 46th in KenPom right now, so honestly not that bad, even with them not playing that many great teams so far. 39 is going to be Iowa dropping down to nothing really that Iowa did necessarily. Iowa actually had a really nice win. I didn't even want them to drop down here. They just beat Xavier by 19. I know Xavier kind of looks like a train wreck, kind of similar to the whole Big East. We'll get to that. But yeah, so I didn't really want to move Iowa down to, but I felt like I kind of have to. They do play Ole Miss coming up, not this week, but next week. So that's a pretty big game. We'll get to all the Feast Week stuff next week. But yeah, Iowa, I think they should be fine. Obviously they got Bennett Sturts coming in. He's averaging 21 points through 3 games. Iowa should be just fine. They're going to move down 2, though, just because 2 teams behind had to move ahead. Same thing with Missouri. Like, I didn't want to move them down, but I kind of felt like I had to. Missouri, 23-point win over Minnesota. I mean, that's a Big Ten team. That's a Power 5 team, so pretty good win there. Missouri was worrying me a little bit. They played a really close game with SEMO. I don't think I moved them. I might have moved them down a little bit, but as of right now, I'm not too worried about Missouri. They're ranked 10th in offense right now. That's pretty solid, and kind of similar with some of these teams. They don't really play anyone in November. They play Prairie View, South Dakota, SC State, Cleveland State, like not till December when they get into, they play Notre Dame, they play Kansas, they play Illinois, so we're going to have to kind of wait and see with Missouri. They're going to be at 38, though, kind of stick around in the bottom half of these rankings. Creighton at 37. They went out to play Gonzaga, and they got absolutely handled. Gonzaga wins the game 90-63. Now, part of this, I moved them down quite a bit, but part of it I think was just Gonzaga was a little underrated. Gonzaga was just much better than we may have thought. Like, it was only a 6-point game at halftime. Gonzaga came out in the second half, outscored Creighton 46-25. Gonzaga wins this game by 27 points. It was ridiculous. Gonzaga looks really good, though. I don't know if this is necessarily all on Creighton. Now, I want to talk about this because Creighton was kind of the consensus third best team in the Big East coming into this year, and all of a sudden the Big East, you got Marquette not looking very good. I mentioned Xavier already. None of these teams in the Big East, Providence is not looking great. Like, Villanova's 3-1. We'll get to Georgetown here, but none of these teams in the Big East, besides obviously UConn and St. John's, but we knew those teams were going to be pretty solid. But none of these teams really looked that impressive to me, and Creighton especially. That was just a very concerning loss. I thought that game would be much closer than it was. Now, once we get to Feast Week, Creighton will have some opportunities to kind of change the narrative, bounce back. They play Baylor, they play Iowa State in the Players era. So the writing, Creighton season definitely not done, but that was a pretty big loss, especially with the way it happened. Oregon, I'm going to move down 9. I just don't like what I'm seeing from Oregon. They played one game this past week against South Dakota State. They won by 14, but Oregon just not looking impressive. Like, it was a close game down the stretch. Don't let this final score fool you. Like, it was legitimately a one possession game with like 6 minutes left in the game. So I don't really know what Oregon's doing. They ended up pulling away here in the final like 5 minutes. But I'm pretty concerned with Oregon as of right now. So they're going to move down 9. They are also in the Players era, though. They play Auburn and San Diego State. Those are 2 teams I have ranked ahead of them. And they did win the Players era last year. So we'll see with Oregon. Definitely not not giving up on them, but I do have to drop them just because they have not looked great. USC has looked pretty good now. They haven't played anyone really yet, but neither has Oregon, and USC seems to just be blowing all these teams out, which is pretty promising. USC is in the Maui, so we should get some good matchups potentially. I know the Maui slate isn't very stacked, but USC could very well win the Maui. They're ranked 19th in KenPom right now, top 25 in offense, top 20 in defense. I really like that. I think USC is a pretty underrated team right now. I like what I'm seeing from them. Obviously, they brought in Chad Baker-Mazara. Rodney Rice is averaging 18.7 points a game. They're looking pretty solid. So I like USC. They're going to move up 4. St. Mary's is going to continue to move up. They just continue to blow teams out, and it's pretty good to see. I mean, St. Mary's is always going to be a great team, and it looks like they are once again. They're ranked 24th in KenPom right now, top 15 in defense. This seems like a pretty typical St. Mary's team to me, so I'm excited about them. St. Mary's for Feast Week is in the battle for Atlantis, so we should see them playing some pretty solid teams, and we'll see. They could probably win the battle for Atlantis. I'm not sure who's in it, but we'll see. But that's next week, not this week. They don't really play anyone this week, so I would expect them to enter that tournament undefeated. Ole Miss going to move down 1 spot here. They beat Memphis, kind of a close game with Memphis, though, and honestly, Memphis does not look great, man. Memphis is 1-2 right now. They just got blown out by UNLV at home. They played their first game was San Francisco, kind of a tough mid-major. They end up winning. Then they lost to Ole Miss. Then they lost to UNLV. So I'm not sure how good Memphis really is, and Ole Miss kind of played it close. I'm not going to knock them too much because they did win, but I don't know. I'm not sure what to think about Ole Miss. I can't wait for that Iowa game next week. This week they only play 1 game. They should win against Austin Peay. I really want to see that Iowa game, though, the following week. 32, I'm going to have Georgetown, new to the rankings, the only team new to the Power 40 this week. Georgetown's going to be at 32. They've looked pretty good. Now, I know Maryland and Clemson don't look all that great, but Clemson right now is a top 30 KenPom team, and Georgetown beat them the other day, 79-74. They also went to Maryland and won by 10 points. I watched about, I think, the first half of that game. Georgetown was looking pretty good, man. So I like Georgetown. Georgetown's probably the 3rd best team in the Big East, and honestly, with the way the Big East is playing, like, you could argue they're only going to get 3 teams in, maybe 4 if Creighton kind of figures it out. But I think the 3rd best team in the Big East probably can get in, and as of right now, I'd say that is Georgetown. Now, I'd like to see them play some more legitimate competition. They do play North Carolina in December, which could be interesting. So we're going to continue to watch Georgetown. I'm holding off a little. I'm being a little reserved because they haven't played anyone all that great. But Clemson and Maryland are 2 pretty solid wins against Power 5 teams. So I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt, move them up quite a bit here. Vanderbilt's going to be at 31. Vanderbilt's interesting, man. It's kind of the same thing. They haven't really played anyone. But Vanderbilt is currently ranked 12th in KenPom, which is just shocking to me. They have the number 4 ranked offensive efficiency. That's pretty good, man. Like 12th in the country for Vandy. They're 4-0, but they haven't really played anyone. They are in the battle for Atlantis, and I'm pretty sure I said St. Mary's in there. So could you imagine Vandy, St. Mary's facing off in the battle for Atlantis? I'd love to see that. This week they play Texas Southern, who's 0-4, so that should be a win there. They should continue to roll. Ohio State's going to move up 4 spots. Bruce Thornton looks like a legitimate All-American player. Maybe I'm biased because I'm an Ohio State fan, but I don't really think you can say that. This dude is averaging 25 points through 4 games. Like he's ridiculous. He's shooting 56% from 3 right now, 65 from the field. Not to mention Devin Royal shooting 50% from 3, John Mobley shooting 40% from 3, and Christoph Tilley kind of came out of nowhere. We were talking about Ohio State like they have the big 3, Bruce Thornton, John Mobley, Devin Royal, but Christoph Tilley, 17 points a game through 4. He just hit the game winner against Notre Dame. That was a really nice come-from-behind win. They kind of needed to win that game, and they did. They play Western Michigan this week, only game at home. They should win that one. I don't know what to think about Ohio State. I kind of want to see them continue to play some of these teams. I think in December they start some Big Ten play. They do play Illinois. They do play UNC later in December. They also play Pitt on the road. That could be interesting. I'm not fully sold on Ohio State. They do have the 26th ranked offense right now and 36th overall in KenPom. I'm going to move them up 4, though. They're going to continue to keep moving up if they continue to keep winning. Baylor's going to be at 29, kind of same thing. They're 3-0. They continue to take care of business. They have the pretty nice win against Washington. They actually don't play a game this week, so they get a lot of time to prepare for players there, and they have two pretty big games to get both against Big East teams, Creighton and St. John's. We'll see how they really look there. Interested to continue to watch Baylor play. They're ranked 25th in KenPom right now, so that's pretty good. Indiana going to move up 2 spots. Now that Marquette win, I don't know if that's as impressive as it was when it happened. You know, that Marquette, I had Marquette ranked in the Power 40. Now they're nowhere near that. But Indiana winning to the United Center in Chicago, won by 23 points against Marquette. This past week, they kind of played a close game with Incarnate Word, only winning by 8 points. Don't love that. This week, they only play 1 game against Lindenwood. That should be a win. But I like what Darren DeVries is doing, man. Lamar Wilkerson looks really good. Tucker DeVries, obviously. I like Indiana. They move up 2 spots. 27 is going to be Virginia. I'm not sure. Like, Virginia, a lot of these teams here in this range, 25 through 40, just haven't played much of anyone. Like, Creighton's played Gonzaga, but they moved down because obviously they got blown out. Like, really none of these teams have played anyone. Like, Indiana's played Marquette. I don't know. Marquette's not great. Georgetown, Clemson, and Maryland, not great. Ohio State's played Notre Dame. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, none of these teams really have that great of wins. Iowa's played Xavier. I don't know. Virginia, though, continues to blow out teams. They should, as they should. They play Northwestern on Friday, Butler on Sunday, so that could be interesting. Those are 2 Power 5 teams. We'll see how Virginia continues to look. I was pretty high on Virginia in the preseason. I'm going to continue to be high on them if they continue to win. I love Ryan Odom as coach. Malik Thomas coming in over from San Francisco. I was very high on him. So I like Virginia. They're gonna continue to move up. Auburn's gonna stay put where they're at. I didn't want to move them up after a loss, but they very well could have won that game against Houston. Houston was my number 1 team last week, so they looked pretty impressive. Now, I was getting worried about Auburn. First game of the season, they went out. Very close game against Bethune-Cookman. Won in overtime at home. You don't love that. But then they go out against Houston. Lose by 1 point. Very well could have won that game. I mean, if Keyshawn Hall maybe stays healthy, they may very well have won that game. I know Houston had a lot of guys foul out, but Auburn was right there with Houston. Todd Pettiford's still not even playing that great. If he can kind of step it up a little bit scoring-wise, like, Auburn should be a tournament team, should be a pretty high seed as well. Like, Auburn looked pretty impressive against Houston. I almost wanted to move them up. I decided not to just because they lost, but like Auburn is, like, in my opinion, kind of a tier ahead of every one of these teams like below them. I think Auburn, you could argue, should be a top 25 team. I just couldn't move them up because this is where I had them ranked the last week, and they did lose. But like I said, they could have beat Houston, and we would be talking about Auburn a whole lot differently right now if they end up winning that game. 25 is where I'm going to go. NC State, where I'm going to put NC State. I really did think about swapping them in Auburn. I did, but NC State, they've shown me no reason to drop them. Like, they're blowing teams out. They've put up 110 plus in 2 of their 3 games. They put up 90 plus in all 3. Like, NC State's playing really good right now. 16th in offense, 30th in defense, 20th overall in KenPom. They're in the Maui. I forget who I also said was in the Maui. Was it USC? So that could be a good game. USC, NC State. We're going to get a lot of good games for Feast Week. They're actually playing VCU right now. The game just started. That's actually a pretty big game for both teams. That's kind of NC State's real first test, so I'm interested to see how they look there. But Darion Williams looks like a legitimate number 1 option. He's averaging almost 22 points a game right now. Paul McNeil Jr. averaging 20 plus as well. I like NC State. They're going to stay where they're at. Will Wade, we know how good that defense can be. Wisconsin's going to stay put where they're at. They didn't really play anyone this past week. Kind of took care of business, and they don't really play anyone. Oh well, they do play BYU on Friday, so I take all that back. They play SIUE tonight. That should be a win. Yeah, BYU. That's a huge game right there on Friday. That'll be a big test for them. That'll be their first true test. John Blackwell, Nick Boyd have both looked amazing, both averaging 18 plus right now. So Wisconsin First true test against BYU coming up. We'll see how they look there. SDSU is going to come in at 23 for me, staying put where they're at. They've only played 2 games, and they only have 1 game this week, so it's kind of weird. Through 3 weeks, next week will be our Week 4 ranking. So, yeah, through 3 weeks of the season, San Diego State will only have played 3 games. Does that feel weird to anyone? Like, I don't know. That feels kind of strange to me. They play Troy, though, and that should be a win. They're in players there. They play Michigan and Oregon, so 2 pretty big games there. I'm worried how their offense will be able to keep up with some of these teams, but obviously the defense looks great right now. We know what to expect from San Diego State. They got the number 8 ranked defense. That's pretty solid. They're 30th overall in KenPom. They're going to stay put where they're at. Kansas going to stay put where they're at as well. You know, obviously last week they played UNC. They lost. But this week they took care of business against Texas A&M, Corpus Christi, and Princeton. They play Duke tomorrow. Pretty big game. Duke's currently a 10.5-point favorite. I'm not sure about that. They also in the players there, and they have 2 pretty easy matchups, Notre Dame and Syracuse. So maybe we could see Kansas, you know, depending on how they look in those 2 games. Maybe they go out and make, like, maybe they get to the championship. I forget how they do it, but it's kind of a weird thing. That could be interesting. You know, we'll see how Kansas looks against Duke. Obviously, Darren Peterson, 21.5 points a game through 2 games. I'm not sure if he's playing against Duke. He's been held out. Maybe they're just trying to get him right for the Duke game. That's what I would assume. I'm a little worried still about Kansas's depth, but right now they're ranked as the number 11 defense. I did not expect that, but yeah. Besides Darren Peterson, I do worry about the offense quite a bit, and you can see that in the KenPom numbers, ranked 55th in offense right now. I'm worried how they're going to be able to keep up with Duke, but we will see tomorrow. That's another big test for Kansas. Arkansas going to stay put where they're at 21. A lot of these teams just staying put, but not a lot of teams played anyone this week. Arkansas almost lost to Samford. Not a great look there. They play Winthrop and Jackson State. That should be 2 wins, and then obviously the following week after that, you got Feast Week. They are playing Duke as well. So Arkansas, I'm still pretty high on them. I think Coach Cal's got a great team. They did lose to Michigan State in the first week of the season, but I'm still pretty high on Arkansas. I think they have a lot of upside. Number 20 is going to be Tennessee. Another team just staying put where they're at. I promise we got some movement coming up. But Tennessee continues to take care of business. I think they're a very good team. Nate Ament looks really good. Jacoby Gillespie as well. Both those guys are looking great. Nate Ament averaging 20 points a game through 3 right now. Tennessee is in the players era, and they have a game against Houston next week. Not this week, sadly. But they're going to play Houston, and we saw with Auburn, Houston looked beatable in that game. Tennessee can maybe make some noise. We know how good Rick Barnes can be. And, you know, Tennessee currently ranked 5th in defense. I love Nate Ament, so I like Tennessee. They're going to stay put where they're at because they haven't really played anyone yet, but that's a huge test for them coming up. 19 is going to be UNC. You may ask, why are they dropping down a spot? That's a fair question because they didn't do anything really to deserve this. But there was a team behind them that I felt deserved to move ahead of them. That was Gonzaga. We'll get to them when we get to them. But yes, UNC still has that pretty convincing win at home against Kansas. They play Navy this week. That should be a win. And then next week they're playing St. Bonaventure and Michigan State. So that's actually a huge game against Michigan State. But obviously I love UNC. I'm a little worried about the Seth Trimble injury, how that's going to affect them. But as of right now, they haven't really played anyone without him yet. And obviously I love Caleb Wilson. I love a lot of their guys. Hubert Davis, I think he knows he needs to win. And they started out pretty well. 4-0, that big win against Kansas. Michigan State, like I mentioned, these 2 teams are going to play next week, not this week. So that's going to be a huge game. Michigan State also plays Kentucky tomorrow. So Michigan State got a lot of tests, and they already have been tested as well. Arkansas, already a win on their resume. Kentucky, I would assume Kentucky wins. Like, I'd assume Kentucky bounces back after they lost to Louisville. But you never know. Michigan State, Tom, is a very hard team to beat, as always. I just worry about the 3-pointers, the offensive ceiling for this team. It seems very similar to their team from last year, maybe even worse offensively, and I don't love that. But they did make the Elite Eight last year, so obviously it wasn't a bad season, but I don't know. I'm just a little worried. Jackson Kolar, though, 14 and 13. Those are pretty good averages. Jeremy Jeremy Fears as well, 11 points, 9 assists. Cam Ward's looked pretty good. Cone Carr, Carson Cooper, like they've got 5 guys averaging 10 plus a game. They just don't really have the guy, and that was the problem last year. I know Jace Richardson was very solid, but it's kind of like the St. John's problem from last year. Like they kind of both had the same problem, and I think Michigan State probably has that same problem again, which is a little unfortunate. But we'll see. Maybe I'm wrong. It's still very early in the season, obviously. UCLA is going to move down 2 after their loss to Arizona. They were actually leading for a good amount of this game. A good amount of the second half, they were up. Arizona did end up coming back, though. UCLA at one point was up like 8 points. I thought UCLA was about to go win this game, and I was going to have to switch up my perspective on UCLA completely. And honestly, I feel like I kind of have to anyways. Like UCLA looked really good in this game. Donovan Dent only had 11 points. He's not been great to start the season, and the fact that UCLA was able to keep it this close with Arizona without Donovan Dent really doing all that much, that's pretty promising. Eric Daly had a nice game. Tyler Bilodeau had 19 points. Like if Donovan Dent can kind of figure this out, before he gets into Big Ten play, and I think UCLA still has a lot of potential. 4-point loss to Arizona. Like I know it's in LA, but that's not a bad look, like at all. Especially with the way that Donovan Dent's playing. Like I said, if he can figure this out, and he can kind of get back to what he was doing at New Mexico, UCLA could be very interesting. And it's not like he's playing like all that bad. Like he's averaging almost 15 points a game through 3 games. It's just he's not averaging whatever he was at New Mexico. He's averaging like 20 points a game, I want to say. UCLA ranked 32nd in KenPom, kind of pretty low, but still top 20 defense. I don't know. I like UCLA here at 17. They played pretty well against Arizona. Iowa State might be the most underrated team in the country for me. I know they lost Keyshawn Gilbert, Curtis Jones. That's what everyone was worried about. They were worried about the offense, how would they respond to that. But Taman Lipsey, Momcilovic, Josh Jefferson, all these guys have stepped up. They're all averaging 15-plus points a game. I know it's kind of just those 3, but Iowa State looks really good, man. They're ranked 9th in KenPom. They got the number 3 defense, and with those 3 guys offensively, Iowa State can honestly I think they could beat almost everyone. Is that crazy to say? Like Iowa State, TJ Otzelberger knows what he's doing. Obviously, like I said, they have the number 3 ranked defense right now, and when you have those guys offensively who can score, like Taman Lipsey, veteran guy, leader, he can defend very well as well. Like, I don't know. I think Iowa State's a really good team, man. I really do. So I like Iowa State here at 16. You could argue they should be even higher. They just blew out Mississippi State. That was a team that I had ranked in the Power 40. I don't anymore. But, like, Mississippi State's a pretty good team, and Iowa State won by 16 points. Like, people were saying Iowa State's offense was going to be the problem. So far, they've played 3 games this season, scored 88, 102, and 96. One of those was against Mississippi State, 96 points. That's pretty good, man. Mississippi State's a good team, I'm telling you. They are in the Players Era next week. They're playing St. John's and Creighton, so pretty big test there. 2 Big East teams. We'll see how Iowa State looks there. Michigan is going to be at 15. This may come as a shocker to some of you guys because Michigan's ranked 7th in the AP poll right now. I had them ranked 7th last week, but I can't rank Michigan ahead of these 14 teams ahead of them. I just can't. The turnovers, that's a big problem. Last year, early in the season, we saw Michigan have the kind of the same problem with the turnovers. They kind of cleaned it up, but it was still a problem, kind of a nagging problem throughout the whole season, and it seems to be the problem once again. Like, I think Dusty May's a great coach. I think he should be able to figure this out, maybe at least limit them somewhat. And I think Michigan has the potential. Like, we saw them bring in the transfers. They were getting so much hype. People were saying coming into the season, Michigan can compete with Purdue, win the Big Ten, maybe even win it all. Like, that's how high people were on Michigan, and myself included. I was very high on Michigan. But I got to rank them at 15 right now. I just do. You look at the games they played this week against Wake Forest and TCU, and they're struggling in both those games. I know they won, but you could argue they probably should have lost to Wake Forest. Wake Forest was just not capitalizing on the opportunities Michigan was giving them. Michigan ends up winning by 1 point at home in overtime against Wake Forest. I don't know about you guys, but I don't think Wake Forest is that great of a team. Then they went on the road to TCU. Now, I'm not a big TCU fan either this season. I don't think TCU's all that great. They won by 4 points. That was a struggle win. Now, Michigan plays Middle Tennessee State this week. That should be a win, hopefully. Then they're in the Players era, so they get San Diego State and Auburn. Those are two top 26 teams for me. Not too far behind Michigan. I'm a little worried. I think Yaxel Lendenberg, he's got to get going, man. He just has to. Like, he hasn't been great to start the season, and I think they're going to need him to. Elliot Cadeau kind of been turning the ball over a little bit. So I'm a little worried about Michigan. Like, I think that you can see that. They're kind of, I think they might be my biggest faller. Actually, no, it might be Creighton or Oregon. But, like, out of, like, the top 25, I think Michigan may be my biggest faller. They're moving down 8 spots. I'm concerned about Michigan, and I just can't put them ahead of any of these teams right now with the way they're playing. I know they're still undefeated, but I can't do it, man. I was so shocked the AP poll barely even moved them down. 14, I'm going to go St. John's. They're moving down, too. They didn't really do much here to deserve this moving down. I just kind of had to fix some things. Like, there were some teams behind them I had to move up, and St. John's was just kind of ranked wrong in my that one's on me. I shouldn't have had them at 12. I probably should have had them a little bit lower. This week they play Bucknell. That should be a win, and then they're in the Players there. They play Iowa State Baylor, so two pretty big games there for St. John's. With St. John's, like, they still got the point guard problem. Hopefully they can figure that out. They did have that home loss to Alabama, which does hurt a little bit. But Zuby Ejiofor is still one of the best players in the country. I think Ian Jackson should be able to figure it out, hopefully. Bryce Hopkins has been scoring pretty well. They currently have 6 guys above 11 points a game, which is very solid. Another guy, Dylan Darling, 9.5 points a game, so he's right there as well. St. John's ranked 18th in KenPom right now, top 30 in both offense and defense, top 20 in defense as well. So St. John's much more balanced this season than last season. I think that gives them kind of more higher ceiling this season than last season, but I think we kind of knew that coming in. Texas Tech at 13, they're going to move down 3 spots. I didn't want to penalize them too much after losing to Illinois. They went on the road against Illinois without their starting center and lost by 4 points. I know Illinois was kind of without their best player as well, but Texas Tech, going into the season, one of the problems for them was going to be the depth, and losing a starter, that definitely does hurt. But JT Toppin, I mean, this dude is ridiculous. He's averaging 24 points a game right now. Against Illinois, this dude had, he had 35 points. That is ridiculous, along with 11 rebounds. I mean, this guy averaging 24 points as well as almost 12 rebounds a game. JT Toppin is an absolute unit. He's going to be, I mean, him and Braden Smith have got to be the front runners right now for National Player of the Year. I know it's very early. Christian Anderson as well, playing very good. Donovan Atwell, 15 points a game. Lawan Watts, 14 points a game. I mean, Texas Tech is a team I'm very high on. I feel like I'm always high on Texas Tech. But I just love the way they play, man. And currently they're ranked 16th in KenPom, so pretty close to my ranking there. And obviously, Illinois is a phenomenal team. We knew this. We knew it was going to be a tough game for them to win, especially on the road. And Texas Tech kept it very close without their starting center, with depth problems already. So I love Texas Tech. I don't want to penalize them too much. They're going to stay. They drop a little bit, not drop too crazy here for me. Alabama's going to move down 1. They lost to Purdue. Purdue was number 2 for me last week. They lost by 7 points to Purdue at home, and they were in that game the whole time. Alabama's guards look great. The problem was they were getting out-rebounded, and I worry about that. I worry about their front court. I really do, but I think, them or Louisville, probably the best backcourt in the country. I think I gave Alabama that title last week. I may have to say it's Louisville now. I don't know. Alabama still has a great backcourt. I mean, LeBaron Philon, Aiden Holloway, those two guys are just ridiculous. But yeah, the story here was Purdue just out-rebounded them. They had so many offensive rebounds, so many more just rebounds in general than Alabama, and Alabama couldn't really do much. Purdue was slowing them down. They were forcing them to play the way that Purdue wanted to, not Alabama wanted to. And that was the problem. And I worry about, if teams do that to Alabama in the future. But Alabama still has that road win against St. John's, which you got to hold pretty heavily. Alabama plays Illinois on the road on Wednesday. That is a huge game. Illinois, you haven't seen them yet, and for good reason. Alabama's also in the players' era, and they're playing Gonzaga, who you also haven't seen. I mean, Alabama's non-conference schedule is ridiculous, but I'm here for it, man. Nate Oates, shout out to you for giving us these games, because Alabama's such a fun team to watch. Yeah, they're only going to move down 1 after losing to Purdue. Kentucky moving down 8. Now, this is kind of my bad. I maybe shouldn't have had Kentucky ranked 3 last week. I got a little excited. I got a little too high on Kentucky there. I still do think Kentucky has a lot of potential. They were the number 1 team in KenPom last week when I made this video. Now they're number 4, but they're still a top 10 team in offense and defense. There's only 3 teams that you can say that, and the other 2 are Duke and Gonzaga. Now Kentucky dealing with a lot of injuries. Jalen Lowe sounds like his injury's not great, and that's a problem because he was kind of their point guard. So now who's going to run the offense? I'm worried about that. Jaden Quaintance, their starting center, he's not going to be back for a while. He's one of maybe the best rim protector in the sport. That's how good he is defensively. I'm not sure how much he'll help the defense. I'm still a little worried about the defense, but they're ranked 10th in KenPom right now. Problem is they gave up 96 points to Louisville. That's not great. They play Michigan State, though, on Tuesday. I'm assuming that'll be kind of a more low-scoring game. I think Kentucky will probably win just because I like their offense much more than Michigan State's. So, yeah, I do worry about the defense. I don't know. Otega Oweh kind of had a slow start to the season, only averaging 13 points a game through 4. I'd like to see him step it up a little bit. But Kentucky should still compete at the top of the SEC, in my opinion. But they are going to move down 8 spots. Again, losing on the road to Louisville, not that big of a deal, but I probably should not have had them 3, and that's on me. I'll take the fall there. But they're going to be at 11 for me. I'm going to put Gonzaga at 10. They're moving up 9 spots for me. Gonzaga just absolutely took it to Creighton. Not to mention, they also blew out Oklahoma by 15 the week before that. They also went on the road to Arizona State later after the Creighton game. Did not have a hangover game whatsoever. They won by 12 points there. Gonzaga plays Southern Utah tonight. They should absolutely blow out them. And then they're in the players' era. They play Alabama and Maryland. Alabama's a very good team, so I can't wait for that game. Gonzaga currently ranks as the number 2 team in KenPom, barely behind Duke, by the way, for number 1. And like I said, they're one of 3 teams that are top 10, both offensively and defensively. I love what Gonzaga's doing. They're a very old, experienced team. One of the best, if not the best, front court. Maybe not the best, but one of the best front courts, in my opinion, in the country. With Graham Ike, with Braden Huff. They got Tyon Grant Foster, great scoring wing there. Adam Miller has been pretty solid. He's averaging 10.5 points a game right now. Gonzaga's really good, man. Mark Few has got himself a squad, and I'd be ashamed to not put them in the top 10. I don't know how the 8 people, what did they have them, 13? I feel like you got to put them up here. I got them at 10. I'm going to go BYU at 9. This may be a little controversial, not moving them down for losing. But it was essentially a road game for them. It was in Boston, so it was mostly UConn fans there. I don't know how many people, fans from Utah there are in Boston. But BYU, they were without their starting point guard. Obviously, the situation there. You got the DUI, so we're gonna see what happens with him. And then they lost their starting center, Keba Keita. He went down in this game very early, and BYU, as well as a team, went down very early in this game. Keba Keita only played 8 minutes, but BYU rallied in the second half, and they had a chance to tie the game. It was a 2-point game, and then Rob Wright turns the ball over, then UConn ends up hitting their free throws, running away with it, but they had a possession to tie that game there late in the game. There was a minute left. BYU came all the way back. They almost won this game, folks. AJ DeBansa, 4 points in the first half. Guess how many points he finished with? He had 4 points at halftime. Finished with 25 points, 8 for 14 from the field, 6 rebounds as well. AJ DeBansa looks legit. This BYU team looks legit. Richie Saunders, 17. Rob Wright, 16. And they were without basically 2 starters. And UConn looked amazing in this game, by the way. We'll get to UConn. I think UConn's maybe definitely a national championship contender. They could maybe win 3 out of 4. 3 out of the last 4 years, which is crazy. We'll get to UConn. I'm loving what I'm seeing from them. But BYU really almost came back in this game, and that is a great sign if you're a BYU fan. I would not be worried about that loss at all. They're playing Wisconsin on Friday. I would expect them to win that game. It's in Salt Lake City, so I'd expect BYU. It's essentially a home game for BYU, and with the way they played against UConn, I'd expect them to win. I'm going to go Florida at 8. This may be controversial. I almost wanted to switch BYU and Florida, but Florida didn't lose and BYU did lose, so I don't know how I can justify moving Florida down, BYU up, maybe, but Florida did play kind of a close game with Florida State and also kind of a close game with Miami. I know they won by 14, but that was a pretty close game. They were with them for a good amount of time. Florida did end up pulling away late. Thomas Houck looks really good, Alex Connon, but these guards, man, that's the story. Boogie Flan, Xavier Lee, combining for like 20 points a game right now, those two. You'd like to see them step it up a little bit more. Obviously, they had like the greatest backcourt ever, it felt like last year with Will Richard, with Walter Clayton, with Elijah Martin. Like that national championship team, that national champion team was so stacked. And obviously the guard play has taken a bit of a hit, and the team is feeling it as a result of that. But I'm going to keep Florida at 8 as of right now. Still believe in Florida. I think the guards are going to settle in. They're going to develop, get better as the season goes on. Obviously still have the front court. Illinois is going to be at 7 here. Huge win against Texas Tech. They did it without arguably their best player in Tomislav Ivisic. He's only played 1 game this season, had 21 in that game. Kylan Boswell looks absolutely amazing. This whole team, they got the Eastern European squad, and Kylan Boswell is, besides Ivisic, leading the team in points right now, 18.5 through 4 games. Kylan Boswell is one of my favorite players. Watching him play, so fun. Like I said, they play Alabama, so that's a huge game at home here, coming up on Wednesday. I guess it's not at home. It's in the United Center, but basically at home. It's in Illinois. Huge game. And honestly, with the way Illinois' offense is playing, like this game, I wouldn't be shocked if it's like in the 90s. These two offenses are going to be absolutely insane. I can't wait to watch it. Illinois is ranked number 3 in offense. Alabama's ranked number 12. But Alabama, we know they love to play fast. Illinois as well. That's going to be just a crazy game. I can't wait to watch it. Illinois, huge win against Texas Tech. Like I said, without Ivisic, who's probably their best player. Louisville at 6. Can you imagine? Louisville, after having the train wreck they did 2 years ago, make the tournament as the 8th seed last year, and now all of a sudden they're ranked 6th in the AP poll. I mean, get excited, Louisville fans. You got a squad. Beating Kentucky 96-88. Probably should have been by more, too. Like, they handled them. They essentially blew Kentucky out. They only ended up winning by 8. But Michael Brown Jr. looks legit. He's averaging 19. Ryan Conwell looks legit, 19 points a game as well. Isaac McNeely, great shooter. I mean, this guard play is just ridiculous. I worry about the front court a little bit, but guard play, we know that wins in March, and Louisville has probably the best backcourt in the country. I said it was Alabama last week. I'm going to go ahead and give Louisville that title. Louisville currently ranks as the number 2 offense in the sport, 10th in KenPom right now overall. Louisville's great. They're legitimately going to be competing with Duke for the ACC. And I'm going to have Duke at 5. They're going to continue to stay where they're at. They have yet to play anyone yet. I mean, they played Texas. They play Kansas tomorrow, though. That should be their first real test. And then they play Arkansas in Feast Week. So Duke's got some games coming up. Cameron Boozer looks pretty solid. But Duke's going to stay put where they're at. They have not really got too much. Like Illinois, Louisville kind of have more impressive wins at this point. But I'm going to keep Duke where they're at. They're currently ranked number 1 in KenPom. It's hard not to put them in the top 5. 4 is going to be Arizona. Pick up another big win. They now have a win over UCLA and a win over Florida. 2 great wins. They're playing UConn on Wednesday, by the way. That's a ridiculous game on the road as well. True road game. If Arizona wins that game, obviously they're going to be a top 3 team. But, like, I might have to put Arizona at 1. Is that crazy? like if Arizona goes on the road to UConn, wins that game, they would have had a win over Florida, UCLA, and UConn on the road. The UCLA was in LA as well. I know it was a neutral site, but or actually was it? I think it was in UCLA. No, it might have been a neutral site, but you know, like if Arizona picks up this win against UConn, it's gonna be hard for me. Like Pete did not play good. He just didn't play good. He didn't have a good game against UCLA. It didn't matter. Arizona still found a way to win. Jaden Bradley looks like a legitimate closer. You love to see that. You love that for March, obviously. Anthony Delarosa, great performance as well. He's been amazing so far. He had 20 points against UCLA. Yeah, this Arizona team looks legit. Tommy Lloyd's got a legitimate national title contender, and I feel like these top 4 teams are kind of in a tier of their own right now. At 3, I'm going to go UConn. They're going to move up 1 after their big win against UCLA. I kind of hinted at this when I was talking, or not UCLA. What am I talking about? Their big win over BYU. I kind of hinted at this when I was talking about BYU, but UConn, they might win their 3rd championship in 4 years. Like, that's how good I think this UConn team is. You look at what they did against BYU. Granted, BYU was essentially without 2 starters for almost the whole game, but UConn got out to a huge lead. Even when Keita was in the game, UConn was dominating them, and then BYU kind of came back at the end. But Alex Karaban, 21 points a game. Terrace Reed, Silas DeMary Jr., 20. All 3 of them had 21 points a game. Solo Ball was kind of the guy we were talking about preseason to be their guy. He hasn't really been that, and they haven't really needed him to. Like, I know he's averaging 16 points a game on the season. That's more than Silas DeMary, but Karaban's averaging more. Terrace Reed's averaging more. Like, this front court looks really good. This, like, reminds me a lot of the national championship UConn teams. They just have so many guys they can go to, and they're so well coached. Like, I would not want to play UConn, and we're getting fed this week because we got Arizona versus UConn on Wednesday. Can't wait for that game. I mean, it's top 5 game. It's top 4 game. Like, if you ever get that, that's it. That's a win. And yeah, we're gonna get that. It's gonna be a huge game. I can't wait to watch those 2 teams go at it. At number 2, this is really hard. These top 2 teams, 1A, 1B for me. I'm actually gonna go with Houston. I'm gonna move them down. I know they won against Auburn. It was in Alabama. It wasn't a true road game, but it was essentially a road game. Houston gonna have some chances to prove that they should be number 1. I think you could argue since I had them at number 1, I shouldn't have dropped them. But I don't know. They didn't look like all that impressive to me. Like, I know they were getting a whole lot of fouls. Like, Auburn probably should have won that game with the amount of free throws and fouls Houston was committing. Houston also, Chris Senac fouled out. I think Joseph Tugler fouled out as well. Miles Uzan hasn't even been that good this season, like, offensively. Emmanuel Sharp as well. I mean, he's averaging 16, so I don't know if I can say that. But Kingston Fleming's true freshman. He's been their best offensive player. Chrissy Knack as well. Like, he's been amazing. This team is very deep, especially in the guard play. I mean, it's a great team. They're the number 1 defense in KenPom. I feel like they always are. And offensively, they got some guys. If Emmanuel Sharp and Miles Uzan can kind of come around, Houston could very well win it all. I mean, we kind of knew that coming into the season. I feel like I have to go with Purdue at 1. Like, they went into Alabama and won that game. A true road game, by the way. And Braden Smith looked legit. Trey Kaufman-Renn comes back in, looks like an even better version of himself. And Braden Smith had, 29 against Alabama? Like, he's a legitimate closer. He can just go get you a bucket, not to mention the play, like his passing capabilities, his playmaking capabilities. I mean, this is why Purdue was the preseason number 1 in the AP poll. My preseason number 1 is Houston, but I feel like I have to give it to Purdue right now. Like, both these teams played good teams, Auburn and Alabama, but I think Alabama, as of right now, is better than Auburn, and Purdue did it as a true road game. Houston was technically a neutral site, and Purdue looked better, in my opinion, than Houston did. So with all that, I'm going to say Purdue's 1. I know Houston higher in KenPom. I'm assuming higher in Torvik because the numbers always love Houston, but going with Purdue at 1. You can hate me all you want. New number 1 team. I don't know if anybody expected that. Maybe. I mean, the AP poll started off with Purdue at 1, went to Houston at 1 last week, now back to Purdue this week. I got a new number one team. Purdue's my number one team as of right now. That's going to do it, though, for the Week 3 college basketball Power 40 rankings. Let me know what you agree, what you disagree in the comments. What did I get wrong? What did I get right? Love to discuss down there. Quick little news session. So I'm going to be out of town next week. So next week's video is going to be a little bit different. I'm not really sure how I'm going to do it. Stay tuned. Follow me on X. I'll probably post an update on there. I may have to pre-record, so I may not be able to get the games from Saturday and Sunday for our Monday video, but I'm still going to try to post on Monday. We're going to see. I'll figure it out. I'll let you guys know. I'll keep you posted. But once again, that's going to do it. Thank you so much for watching. Like this video if you enjoyed. Make sure you subscribe. But with all that being said, I will see you guys tomorrow with our college football top 25 rankings video.